Welcome to the Higher Energy Superpower. This is episode 28 of the Turbo Duo Cast. I am your host, Salvatore Mata, and to my left is my brother from another game show lover. He is the oral assassin. He puts the ass in classic gaming. Everybody, it's Trenton E. Wright the Third, Esquire. And now I get to clap.
The Candy Man can. The Candy Cane Man can.
That's right. As you can see in all of our Candy Cane splendor, it is our Happy Holiday Christmas episode. And we are delighted to bring this to you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah.
Wish you a Merry Christmas.
And every other holiday. And New Year's, Happy New Year. Hope you guys are having a fantastic New Year, because I imagine
we didn't start it.
By the time this episode airs, it's going to be either very close to New Year's or directly right after New Year's.
Oh.
No, this is coming out.
This is coming out.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, and you'll find out depending on when you listen to it.
Make a little list. I'm taking it twice. It's gonna find out who naughty or nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming. He's coming to town. That's Michael Bolton's rendition of Santa Claus.
You don't need to explain. Just let it sit. Sal, did you? I heard that you did a Christmas list.
Yes.
Okay.
For Santa.
And did somebody send it off today?
Someone set it off?
Me?
Right. So you're expecting a letter back, right?
Yeah.
How many stamps does it take to get to the North Pole? Like 3? It's one of those envelopes that has the black and white strips, so that if you send it, the postage is paid by the receiver. Oh, Santa's got to pay for it.
Yeah, it's like a business reply mail.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how giving he actually is. He wants to get letters from the kids, or else he's not going to know what to make.
Yeah, he's got to pay for the postage.
He's making the toys. He might as well pay for the postage. So, and returning with us again is Turbo Duo and a Half, as you've heard his voice, Salvatore Thomas Mata. Salvatore, superstar, soccer, Spider-Man, Superman, supervillain, super extra, beautiful.
Are you making up names?
You came up with the Spider-Man last time, so
yes.
We're just, we're rolling with extra
going
stuff.
On.
Yeah. Super Cody.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we hope you guys are having a happy holiday. Thank you for joining us on this episode 28.
It's a most splendiferous occasion.
As you've seen by the title of this episode, we are going to be talking about a not Christmas movie game.
Whoa. Leave your feedback in the comments.
Die Hard Arcade.
Dislike.
So much dying, so much hardness.
So much
arcade. We're going to get into it very, very soon.
It's a good day to die hard. He's back.
Just when you think he was done the first time.
And guess who he's brought with him? Shia LaBeouf.
Wait a minute. That wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, a good day to die hard.
Oh, he was in that?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, in the reboot.
What is up with all of these, 80s kind of
It was pretty good, though.
Movies, Raiders of the Lost Ark and...
Well, I think...
they come back and they do, something 25 years later. Terminator Genesis or whatever.
That was really bad.
I never saw it. Was that the one with Linda Hamilton?
Yes.
The mom from Terminator?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, all right.
The one that was really good they rebooted is Dread.
Oh, okay.
2.
Yeah, RoboCop, they did that one too. That was pretty good. No? You didn't like it? Oh, all right.
But the Dread one.
It's not dreadful?
No, it's really good.
It's really good?
It's pretty nuts. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. Better than the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed to do it.
Wow. I mean, it happens. It's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they did I think they did 3 reboots of the Die Hard. I don't know which one. I think the first one was...
Wait, 3 reboots of the Die Hard?
Well, I mean, they had the first...
Sequels.
The first couple of Die Hards, and then 2012...
Die Harder.
It was Live Free or Die Hard, and then A Good Day to Die Hard, and I think there may have been one other one.
Yeah.
But the first one was good, It's an action movie,
It's a romp.
Things blow up.
Yeah.
You know, someone saves the day.
Somebody crawls on glass.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
You know, a bridge breaks.
Yeah.
He stops it with his hand.
Yeah, and there's a big explosion at the end.
Yeah.
He stops it with his hand. Who is he, Captain Planet?
Captain Planet.
Yeah, we're not going to sing that one, though.
Okay, fine.
That's too
Way
much.
to take all the fun out of it.
That's too much tuna. We can't do that.
It's too much.
So one of the things that we had a long episode last time.
Real long.
And we didn't get to, I missed, or not missed, but we kind of ran out of time. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and this can be kind of like a show note for last podcast, was Trenton, we didn't talk about the Twisted Metal scores from back then.
Oh, we're slipping up the EGM scores?
From back in the day, yeah. So there was something about the scores of this game that were just so striking to me. So what would you expect?
Well, the way you're leading this.
I'm not. Listen. There's two different magazines.
Are you leading on the witness right now?
There's two different magazines that I always go to. You know, generally it's always EGM and probably GamePro. So took a look at both magazines and what they rated and what they scored the games, and I also took a look at, on one of the magazines, how it compared to other PlayStation releases that month. Okay, so you got to think like late '95 is when this got reviewed, right?
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation 1, right? What would you expect that this game would have gotten back then in terms of scores? On, let's say, like a.
Well, let's see. It's funny because I was just watching randomly the other day. I think it was Classic Game Quarterly's PlayStation in 1995.
Oh,
and I think he had the scores for Twisted Metal.
Okay.
So, but I mean, not seeing that, I mean, I would expect it to get 8s, 8.5, 9.
What do you think Twisted Metal is? Like, if you had to score it, if you had to rate it back then.
Oh, back then.
What do you think you would have given it?
Yeah,
personally,
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
Okay. So EGM, it won Game of the Month.
Yeah. Okay.
That
makes sense.
It was the Game of the Month. It got a 9.5, a 9.0, a 9.0, and a 9.5. So clearly they liked it, and I can think they agree with, or we agree with what they wrote back then, that it was a revolutionary title, tons of action, tons of fun, you know, even a graphical spectacle on some you know, in some ways.
It was just like the perfect time for that game to come out. Right,
the extreme and all that stuff that we talked about. So
now it's just like that's just like standard, like, you know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be anything special if it came out today.
Well, but it's not coming out today, right?
No, I know.
So you got to judge games in their time.
Yeah.
So you ready to have some fun?
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes.
We're going the complete opposite.
So it's not complete opposite, but when you compare it to what other games got,
saying it's like perfect, basically,
you have to question GamePro's judgment. And
oh no, GamePro?
Yeah. So GamePro, it was the worst reviewed PlayStation 1 game in that issue.
What were they getting?
Now,
were they getting some checks from Mario or something? What's going on there?
Now, to be fair, the
only other games they rated were Criticom.
So to be fair, it got a 3.5, a 3.0.
To be fair, that's because they did it.
They do it on a 5-point scale. Excuse me. So this would have been like a 6.
Wait, are you saying? Well, because they rate their things like it's like fun factor, graphics, gameplay.
Okay, so graphics, fun factor, or graphics, sound, gameplay. There's I don't know which one is which, but they were 3.5, 3, and 3.5. Fun factor was a 4, so that would be equivalent to like an 8.
An 8, yeah.
So 3.5, 3. So it's like a 7, 6, 7, 8. You all right there?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What?
You're just making a lot of noises here. You're crowding up my airspace. I just want to make sure you're okay. You good?
Coughing.
All right. You want to take a sip?
You can't cough on air.
Take a sip of water.
We're gonna have to cut you out of the frame.
Yeah.
Actually, just drip it on the microphone. That might help it, actually.
We'll get it in post.
Well, I mean, that's like
stop bouncing around the microphone because it keeps reverberating in our ears. Go ahead, Trent.
Well, I mean, whatever any part of it would be is. I mean, that's like saying I don't think any part of the game would be a 6. you know.
I think sound. It was either sound or I don't know what. It's hard to read because I had to pull it off of a screenshot. But it was 3.5, 3, 3.5, and 4. So they basically gave it like call it a 7 out of 10. But it was the worst rated game, and this is where I have a problem. I don't have a problem with the score. I have a problem with what it compares to. So there were every other PlayStation game was reviewed better, and these are some of the games.
Here we go.
Viewpoint, which is okay. It's Viewpoint.
Yeah,
it's Viewpoint. Zero Divide.
I don't even know what Zero Divide
I remember
is.
that it came out. I couldn't tell you really what it was.
It's definitely a game.
Okay. Alien Virus, which I don't even know if it ever came out. Alien Virus, I've never heard. We should have Ryan back to tell us.
That's not an Atari 2600 game.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And you know the last game and the most atrocious one that it was reviewed worse than in GamePro?
RoboPit?
Criticom.
Oh, I was. Yeah, why didn't I go with Criticom?
Criticom.
I said that first.
Which,
wait. No.
Criticom.
No.
So for some of you who have been following our channel, the very first video that Trent and I ever did was a video where we played some terrible fighting games on the Sega Saturn, and one of those games was Criticom. Go back and take a look at the video, but
well, I can say firsthand because that was one of that's like the first game I got for the PlayStation when I bought it.
I got it for $5 for the Sega Saturn back then.
It's not even like
it might be the worst fighting game ever, or close to it.
It's like just not even like playable.
I'd rather play Rise to the Robots, which is another game we played.
It's just so that game got a higher rating than Twisted Metal.
That game got a higher score than the Twisted. I couldn't tell you exactly what that is. I'd have to take a look. Here,
no, it's. I mean, it's not important. But
no.
That game's just not even it's barely playable, and to say that game got a better rating than one of the most recognizable games for the PlayStation is
okay. So Criticom got a 4, a 3.5, a 3.5, and a 4. So I got an 8, a 7, a 7, and an 8.
What would it get an 8 on? Everything is bad about it. The graphics, maybe the graphics. I mean, I guess the graphics are good. It's like a launch, around like a launch title game, so I guess it's impressive in a way.
Yeah. The second category is sound, and the last category is fun fact. I can't tell if... I think gameplay might be the first category, so... But
it's not even it's barely playable. You move so slow, and nothing really works.
Yeah, it looks like gameplay got an 8 out of 10 or a 4 out of 5.
It's kind of hard, when you rate a game as 4 categories, like graphics, sound, gameplay, and fun factor. You can't put those together and say that's an average because
no, I know.
You know what I mean? The graphics could be a
EGM
2.
you can aggregate them in a way because there's 4 different reviewers.
Yeah, they just give a straight score.
Right.
Whereas in GamePro, if there's not really a real, it just gives you those 4. They rate those 4 categories.
And there's one reviewer who reviews the four. I mean,
categories. I guess if you read the article, you would get the actual review, but you can't really get an answer from those 4 factors because you can't average them together.
All I'm telling you is that the aggregate of those scores was better than Twisted Metal. So, that you wonder why we go back to EGM as sort of the pinnacle of magazines and opinions back then. And it's clear, I mean, and maybe this is just hindsight, but I don't think so. I remember hating Criticom back then, and I remember loving Twisted Metal back
I know.
then. So I couldn't believe.
I remember
myself.
playing Twisted Metal and be like, this is insane. And then I remember playing Criticom, being I never.
When they go off the arena.
Yeah, I was like, I never want to play this again.
Wasn't Dark Rift the sequel to that?
That's on a 64, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it does kind of. It's a similar look. I don't know if it's the same.
They got that rock character. He's just a big rock monster.
Did they make another Criticom too? It probably sold well because it was one of the launch window.
That's a Vic Tokai game,
it
right?
was the launch window game, so it was you didn't really have too many choices and it looked cool. It's like a 3D fighting game.
Mm-hmm. Back when that was Virtua Fighter was a big deal. So
yeah. And it looked better than Virtua Fighter.
I bet you it was a discount game too. I bet you it was like a $29.99 game or something like that.
I
must have been.
I probably got it. It probably was like $39.99 at that.
A little bit cheaper than a normal game.
Yeah.
Which probably is what helped it sell. It's like it's like when parents would go in for Christmas and see Mike Ditka football for $19.99, and all their kids wanted Madden, and then they all went to Babbage's the day after Christmas and handed all their copies in.
Oh, I've told the story many times of where I wanted Turtles 2, the arcade game for NES, and we were at Big Wheel, and my mom saw Turtles, the first one, because it was only like $20, and the Turtles 2 was $50. She's like, well, it's Turtles, so let's get the first one. I'm like, no, I want Turtles 2. I was like,
it's a whole different experience.
I was like crying, and then she just ended up getting Turtles 1, and it was the worst.
I taught you some humility, Trent.
You get what you get, and you don't get upset.
And you don't get upset. Sal knows that one. All right. So, Trent, we're going to get back to this now in terms of talking about the Evercade, but I wanted to know, have you been playing any more Evercade?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I literally had not even like a half hour.
That's the problem of adult living, is that you don't get the time to play when you want to play.
Well, oh man, I played. I have the handheld. I played. I don't even know.
Either that or I'm doing it all wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I had maybe like 20 minutes one night.
Did you have it hooked up?
Well, no, I had the handheld. I put one. I think it was the Data East collection. I was playing one of like the puzzle games. It kind of plays like a like Puyo Pop kind of.
Puyo?
Or like a
like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine?
Yeah, or what's those like the what is it? Like the puzzle Bust a Move.
Oh, all right.
It's like kind of like a Bust a Move kind of game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what
like
it was called.
Like Snood.
Yeah, and then I was playing I played a
or Bubble Town.
I played a few rounds of a Tumble Pop too.
Yeah, that would actually look pretty good.
Just because I had the hand, I didn't feel like going through, and I was just like, it was like 10 o'clock at night. I didn't feel like hooking up the whole system and everything, so I was just like, just play like 20 minutes of the handheld for a little bit.
Just get a little action in. But we actually played, following the last episode, we played a little bit of the Evercade.
Oh yeah, that one. What were you saying? Alligators.
There's a game from that Spanish studio, which I forget if it was on the Pico collection
or Mega Cat. No, it wasn't Mega Cat.
It was Alligator something, and it was like two 80s style kids.
Yeah, he's on like a skateboard. It's like a Sin and Punishment kind of.
It's kind of like Wild Guns.
Yeah, Wild Guns.
On Sin and Punishment, Wild Guns, where you have that character that's kind of in the foreground, and then there's stuff coming through the screen. And that game played really well. I mean,
we played that for a little while.
Yeah, I forget the studio. I forget what they're called, but that's the thing about the Evercade is there's just some experiences there that you would never experience.
Yeah, when it's like those indie developers, when there's like a whole bunch of games you didn't even know existed. They were like on Steam or they're like downloadable games on like the PlayStation Network or Xbox.
Again, a curated experience where you're getting sort of the best of the best, as much as they can do. The other one that I really enjoyed was Water Margin, which is that Chinese knockoff beat 'em up, slash 'em up game.
Oh yeah. There was a few that weren't
side scrolling.
Yeah, there was a few beat 'em ups that were kind of marginal, but that one was pretty good. Yeah,
that one kind of reminded me of like Knights of the Round.
Yeah,
that kind of thing, same painterly kind of look to it. So, we might talk about that again later down the line here. But the one thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of what we're playing is an experience that I'm having with my son. So, if you're listening to this and you have a child who might be kind of nascent in gaming, sometimes a good experience to get them into is something that's a lot simpler. And one of the things that we've been playing lately is the Atari Flashback. We have a Atari Flashback 7 console here that I picked up a while back, and there's some simple experiences here. We went to the gamers convention last week, and I brought this and set it up on a small TV, and there were people playing it, and
Frogger.
Frogger was popular, and then Sal really got into. Which game did you really get into, Sal?
I got into.
Was it Asteroids?
Nope.
No, it was.
I played some Asteroids.
Oh man,
Centipede?
Yes, it was Centipede.
Yeah, that's right.
That. What do you like about that?
I like that you're like shooting like the little spider, and like the spider helps you like get the little blocks out of the way.
You were zooming left and right all over the place.
Yeah, you were. I don't know how you were dodging all that stuff because you were flying
I was,
left and right.
The centipede.
Right.
Also.
And you like that when you died, you could just get right back into the game, right? So that was a fun experience to be able to play, and I think you got to the second or third. Even I think you got to the third level one time.
I got to the fourth level.
You got to the fourth level?
Yeah.
Fourth.
So, and he's been playing this right along. There's another game on here, which sometimes these Atari games, you don't know. I mean, there's like 101 games on this thing.
Daddy?
Yeah.
What are
Can
they?
you tell them about the golf game?
The golf game is terrible.
Yeah, that golf game's terrible.
Yeah, there's a game called Golf, and it's atrocious.
It's
Is it like mini golf, basically?
There's like
You just try to hit the ball into a hole?
No, there's like this blue ball that like, and there's like water around it.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, when you like hit like the blue ball into the river, it's just everything's blue. You
Yeah,
can't
the
even
ball's
find
blue,
it.
and there's a blue outline, so you can't see the ball when it goes into that section. So it's just there's some really terrible experiences here that just they probably didn't even hold up back then.
Football's good. I mean,
Well,
I like that game.
GamePro gave it all 4s.
Yeah. But there's one game on here that's like basically a lightsaber battle.
A sword battle. That's what it's called.
Oh, does it play like boxing? But
No, but you have like a sword, and you have to go.
You right?
You have to go left and right, and you're just trying to like swing a sword at the other guy.
You know what it actually looks like? You know the battle in American Gladiators where they're on the platforms and they have the two jousting things?
Yeah.
Think that, but with like lightsabers, and the button moves the character either closer
like
or
rock and
farther
sock
away
and
to the enemy.
robots.
Oh, okay.
And then the control stick is what actually makes the sword movements to slash at the character.
Oh, okay.
So basically you're just whacking away. And sometimes the swords will slash each other, but it's a simple, fun, and a kid who's crazy about Star Wars like this one, he absolutely loves it. So, I can't imagine that these are that expensive. You probably can find them for $20.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they made a newer one, like the Atari Flashback 10 HD or whatever.
There's an HD one that can work too. We've got a little CRT that we play on, which is fun. And in terms of the the controllers. Sometimes, like this one was supposed to work with Sega Genesis controllers, but it doesn't, but it works with Master System controllers, which makes it so much easier. So, it seemed like even within Flashback 7, there were different variations where some work with some controllers and some work with others. Thankfully, we have some Master System controllers, so that ended up working out.
Can never have too many.
No. So that's been a lot of fun. Let's talk about some pickups, and we're going to start with the little guy right here.
Yes.
He's going to talk about some of his games, and then we'll get into some of our pickups here. So, what is the first game that you want to talk about, Sal?
I want to talk about Marvel Superhero Squad for the DS.
On the Nintendo DS.
Oh, yeah.
So this looks like a fun. We got this at the toy convention.
Yep.
There was another toy convention in Orange, Connecticut, and we went down there and saw this. It was
Who did I get it from?
You got it from Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. One of our friends who he was the one who sold me the Rise of the Dragon at the Retro World Expo. Kind of looks like a simple sort of side-scrolling action game. Pretty good for a 7-year-old to get into. So, when you're as Marvel and Spider-Man crazy as this guy over here, anything's an opportunity that has Marvel baby.
Can I talk about my newest thing?
My newest thing.
Sure.
Wait, have you even played?
Why don't we talk about the last game and then you can talk about.
Wait, have you even played the Marvel Hero Squad yet?
We haven't yet.
No.
Nope. I haven't tried that one out yet.
Okay.
So, again, talking about experiences that you can have with a younger person and have a good time. A lot of the modern Spider-Man games incorporate some physics that are just a little bit more difficult. Some of the camera controls, but there is a game that came out in the PlayStation 2, Xbox, even Xbox 360 era, Wii, that is more of a Marvel 3D beat 'em up game, which is kind of apropos as we're talking about Die Hard Arcade today. But this is a game that I've actually played with my little guy, and we've had a ton of fun. And so, what game is that?
Spider-Man Friend or Foe.
Spider-Man Friend or Foe, and this is the Xbox 360 version.
They have like these amulets that are like on like the bag.
Amulets.
that are like on like the bad guys and they're like evil, and you have to like destroy them, and then like the bad guys can be on your team.
Right. Even the bad guys turn
Oh,
good.
hence the friend or foe.
Friend, or you get to battle with friends
Friend or enemy.
or foes. Seems to be right in there.
Yeah.
Maybe unplug it and plug it back in. And we are struggling today. Maybe do it from the back side. We'll get it in post. It's probably not the MXL, right?
I don't think so. Supposed to be like, holding it like this for me.
We could attach it. We could attach this to the end of the table, Trent. We could attach this to that end of the table and just make it go straight out. Yeah. Is that better?
Seems like it.
All right.
All right.
So, do we end with the friend or foe conversation?
Yes. No.
No, you were talking about the amulets.
Yeah. So the amulets are kind of like triangle shaped with like
They control the bad guys.
yeah,
right?
with like a green ball in the
And you're
middle.
talking about the bosses now. You're not talking about the regular enemies.
The bosses.
Who do you want to play as? Who's your favorite enemy to play as?
My favorite supervillain.
The goblin?
No. Rhino.
Rhino.
Oh, Rhino. That's
yeah,
right.
he's a big character in the PS4 game and Miles Morales. So naturally, he's a destruction. I will kill you, spider. So Sal loves destruction. He is a little
Yes.
boy, and so that's very attractive for him, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about the last item you got, which is not necessarily video game related? Maybe someday it will be
Yeah.
if they make a game based off
Yeah.
of this organization.
It's in the
So-
works.
I got. In,
Wait, hold on. It's in the works.
Yeah.
There's a game coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. They've been on it.
nice.
I got a one of the
Rubber.
newer AW figures.
Oh,
It's
man.
Cody Rhodes.
Cody.
He is one of my favorite.
That is a fabulous figure. I
The
gotta say.
American Nightmare.
As,
Cody.
as opposed to the American Dream.
Yes.
Yeah. He is my favorite AEW wrestler.
He's the best there is right now.
He's
I
the
think.
code man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that harkens back to the LJN WWF figures. It looks like that's exactly what they were going for.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
can-
sweet,
Either
man.
that or they made the WCW figures that were like that too.
Yeah.
Can you hold this for me?
Sure.
And it came with
Oh, yeah.
the poster. And
That the LJN figures used to come with. Same, literally the exact same.
it has Cody Rhodes and everybody in the back.
The superstars.
Wow.
Oh,
We'll get there.
keeps rolling up.
There you go. Stop it. There you go.
Look how hard he's looking on that picture, huh?
Yeah.
Hard body.
Yeah. This is awesome with the AEW in there. That's great.
Yeah. That's a sweet. I don't even have that one yet.
Wow.
I
I don't know. Uncle Trent might be looking for a trade. Sal.
I saw at the toy show one of like the regular,
regular ones,
Yeah,
yeah.
one of the regular figures, and he had like his his black shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. With his the
That-
American Nightmare that logo on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So wait, when you went to the store with Mommy, were there other figures?
Yeah, I saw two others, but they were like regular, and this is the only one that I saw in the back.
Was that the only one that was like this style with the rubber?
Yes. This is the only
Yeah, that's
one.
the only one they made so far.
Oh, really?
Of yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought it would have come out with like a series.
No. It's like in each like series they pick one to make like the LJN style.
I wish I could have seen the packaging. Did you throw out the packaging?
It's just like the regular ones.
We threw it out when we went to the gas station.
Okay. It looks the same.
We threw it out, but it came with a card on the back. I wanted to keep it, but I threw it out. And we were. I wanted to, but I didn't have any scissors.
That's okay. You have the most important thing, and that's the
toy,
the character, and the poster. So, well, that's pretty sweet, Sal.
Yep, that's everything.
You're welcome.
That's everything.
It is.
One thing I got to mention is that we really want to thank Ryan Brown of Retro Games Plus for coming and being on the show last episode. We hope to have him again on a future episode. Ryan is always so good to us. He brings a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, and a new perspective for the show. So we really appreciated having Ryan on here. And we actually visited Ryan today at Retro Games Plus. Came all the way up to meet us at the store. And they had just gotten in some brand new, well, I won't say brand new, but, some new to the store lot of manuals. And as everybody who is a retro gamer knows, is when you're looking at games, the one thing that you typically don't have when you see a nicely cased game, you open it up and you look inside and you see the cartridge or the disc, and what? No manual.
No man. It's kind of like almost my favorite thing to do now is like
hunt for manuals.
Look through like a box of manuals.
Yeah.
I saw a box of manuals at Retro Games Plus.
Yeah, they have one there.
Yeah, one of the booths had it.
Right. So they had actually some newer manuals that were. Go ahead.
I saw empty cases that I was looking at. From Genesis game.
Yeah, from the con the other night.
Yeah.
Oh, from the game from the Congo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a Connecticut Gamers Convention, as we mentioned on the last episode, and we were able to mix in with a lot of the other gaming heads around Connecticut, which was a lot of fun. Trade a few things, sell a few things if you want. Trenton, you found a Battletoads Double Dragon manual there.
Well, technically, you found it.
I found it,
and I paid for it.
Right, but that was able to complete your Double Dragon.
Yeah,
which is that's going for a couple of bucks now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's going for like $60-$70 on eBay complete.
I think I got it maybe for like $30 without the manual.
Yeah, and then you paid $10 for the manual.
Yeah,
I had to
complain.
I had to work him down. He wanted $15, but got to drive a hard bargain.
Yeah,
use the puppy dog eyes.
No one else would have bought it. Yeah.
He was like, "Well, do I lose the sale at 15 potentially, or do I sell it for 10 and at least make a few bucks, right?"
Yeah.
So he chose wisely.
Yes, he did.
So that was a lot of fun. And then so we were there today, and he had a bunch of these new to the store manuals, and so we were looking through, and there was a lot of good stuff in there. There was a Batman Return of the Joker.
A lot of name brand manuals in there.
A lot of really high quality stuff, and some stuff that was in pristine condition, like not even opened condition. So I want to talk about some of the manuals that I was able to pick up, which, like we talked about, guys, you have to be resourceful. Don't always jump at the first thing, and be patient. Let a game sit on the shelf and just explore your local environment, your local stores. Make connections with people, develop relationships, because you just never know what's going to come. And so I was able to get, I think, 4 or 5 different manuals today to complete sets for myself, which is remarkable. I mean,
happy.
Well, I mean, it's just so infrequent that you actually do find a manual. That today was a really, really cool day in terms of that. So thank you, Ryan, again for that. So there's a couple of games here that I don't have many Nintendo games, like in the box, but there's 2 games that I have in the box: Batman and Journey to Silius.
Are those the only 2 you have?
I have Tetris 2 too, but nobody's talking about Tetris 2.
That's surprising. You only have those 3 games in box?
Only those 3 games in box. That's why when I see Nintendo manuals, even if they're really good ones, I tend to pass, because what am I going to do? Have a manual? And I mean, I could have it just in the regular black sleeve, but then it just feels lonely. I don't know. It just feels like it's not, like there's an organ that's been chopped off or something, or an appendage.
Yeah. Surprised I'm just surprised you don't really have any.
Just never worked out. That I was so focused, I think, in over the years on some of the Sega stuff that I just never.
Oh, some of the Sega stuff.
Some of the Sega stuff. So I was able to get manuals for Journey to Silius and for Batman. So now these are
Go figure, right? That they're both Sunsoft games.
They're both Sunsoft games,
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, and so that was actually really nice because everybody likes a complete game, so especially on Nintendo. And then there were two other manuals. The first one was for, and I can open this one easily. It's for Mickey Mania. So I had Mickey Mania, and I had it in the box, but I didn't have it in the manual. So now
it looks so good with the manual.
You got the manual in there, so you can peruse that at your leisure. And then I can't believe I'm saying this, but I didn't even realize that this was a big deal. I've owned Garfield Caught in the Act for a little while, and I had it with the game, and it's supposed to be a decent action platformer, nothing great.
Mid.
Yeah, play more sevens. But they had the manual there, and they also had. So they had the manual. But then they also had the Garfield Caught in the Act comic book.
Now it's worth $300.
Which, yeah. In fact, they had two of these there because I guess the person who traded it in had one with. They had the Game Gear version and they had the Genesis version. I've just never heard somebody either so dedicated to Garfield or Garfield video games. But
it was debut on the Sega Genesis, so they had to have it.
Yeah. And I don't even think that this was opened. I don't think that this was opened at all. And I think the person just kept it in the case for all of time and then traded it in. So
I wonder if what's his name? Jim
Davis? There we go. Bless you.
I wonder if he made that comic specifically for the game.
It's possible.
Unless they just reused
a
pictures
comic
and stuff.
That's
kind of cool though. If they just made a comic strip specifically for the game.
Yeah, we'll update you guys in episode 32.
Yeah, everyone's dying to know.
And then here's an interesting case. So I had Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for the longest time, just the cart, and then just recently I picked up the cover art on eBay from
Sonic 3
from a seller called Shiggity, which we love. And then today I was there, and of course, what do they have?
It was a blessing.
The Sonic 3 manual. So
really?
Now I just need a box.
Well, that's the easiest part.
No, I know. But yeah, so we checked off a lot of boxes today. In terms of
literally.
In terms of manuals.
It is a sweet Sonic 3, sweet cover art though.
It is really good. I remember the poster that came in a lot of games that had that picture on it
with the 3.
Yeah, I don't know if was that the Batman Returns poster.
That wasn't
Do you remember?
every
or maybe that was a different one. That might have been a different one. And then the other thing too was I was perusing on the marketplaces, and I came across a listing for a lot that was much more valuable than what the person wanted it for. We're talking 10, 12, 14, 18 Genesis games.
Oh, is that many?
Most of them complete in box, and so the person wanted about $400 for it.
It was that much?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. So some of these games I have, most of them I didn't, and so I figured I could, maybe make a couple of bucks back on some of the smaller value games, but by and large, I was going to keep most of them, and there were two specific games in there that I really wanted that I've been looking for a long time for.
You were clamoring for
one in specific. Just some of the games that were in there. I just think this game is just cool for its historic value and nostalgia. Pit Fighter. It's not one of the two that I was talking about, but this is complete in box. But the two games that were really kind of special. The first one is a Toa Plan game, and that's Fire Shark. A game that I've owned loose for a very, very long time. Really hard to find, really hard to come by. A top-down vertical spaceship shooting game. You're in a biplane, and it's just about destroying all the enemies. Plays really, really well. A lot of fun. And then the other one, the Piece de Resistance, is a complete in-box copy of the one and only legendary Midnight Resistance. And that track is, what is that track called? Something of Power. Yeah, but it's that if you guys get a chance to listen to the stage 1 music of Midnight Resistance, take a listen. It will thump. Listen to it in stereo. Listen to it on a large stereo.
In the car.
In
your headphones.
You will not be upset that you went through the effort to check it out. It is a pumping soundtrack. And the gameplay...
It's only one player?
It's a one-player game. It's like Mercs. But this was designed to be a one-player game. This wasn't really designed to be more than one player. It's really like a one-man gang type of an adventure.
One-man gang.
So think Contra, but a lot more kind of zoomed in with larger character sprites and a funky control scheme, but it works.
Is that one? It's like you lock on, right? Or is it like...
No, there's a bunch of control. One of the control schemes is you just keep... Your character's constantly shooting, and it's almost got like a Forgotten Worlds thing where one button shoots one way, one button shoots the other way. But it's just one of these early Genesis games. It's got that early Genesis feel, in terms of graphics, in terms of sound. This is before the age of, the Sega sound that sounded like, boops and farts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I believe this is a Data East game. It is a Data East game, and it's one of the best Data East games, I think, personally for me. So it's another harder to find game. But buying it in a lot, I was able to actually track it down. So that sometimes that's the way to get games that you're really looking for, or trying to get for maybe a decent price. When you can buy it in a larger lot, sometimes that helps. The person who sold it to me too, they weren't sure if the games worked. They were selling it as is, so I was taking a little bit of a chance on the games. But generally, cartridge games are pretty reliable.
Yeah.
So, I took a chance. I got, I would say, a pretty decent savings by taking that chance, and, I was rewarded by it. So, look out for lots, guys, because sometimes that's a way to get...
Never pay full price.
Sometimes that's the way to do it, I'm going to stop there because I actually did quite a bit of work over the last week, but I'm going to cool my jets, Trent.
Hercules.
Oh, well, yeah, that was one game that Ryan was talking about, and I actually was able to find it at the Congo, which is Hercules the action game. So it actually looks really cool.
Yeah, when I was putting I was looking at the footage of it. It does look pretty good.
Yeah, so
a lot of hype around it.
It's a Eurocom game. They made the Duke Nukem 64.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean they're a good developer, so it's no wonder that Ryan actually enjoys this game. So, you never know where you're going to hear about games, and maybe you're hearing it here, guys. So check it out if you're into more simple character action games with with nice painterly Disney style graphics. Check out Hercules the action game. Trenton, what do you got?
Oh, just a few little things.
We want to know.
I popped in to Game Exchange earlier today on a whim, not looking for anything in particular. Just hoping maybe. It seems like every other time I go in there, someone's brought some new stuff in, and they usually have a good selection. Mm-hmm. So it just happened to be, and it actually the price sticker had yesterday's date on it, so they must have just got it in yesterday. So the first one I got was...
You got to be quick with the grip.
I know. It was Diddy Kong Racing.
Hell yeah.
I was never a real big fan of this when it came out. I remember playing it, and I was just kind of like disappointed.
Well, you know why? Because we were all playing Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, but this is basically like it's supposed to be like the sequel to Mario Kart. It's just more.
Nope.
But I remember it felt like it was like slow, and like the whole flying thing was I wasn't a big fan of.
So I tried this game out. I remember I was in a Blockbuster Video in Willimantic, Connecticut.
Well, obviously.
And they had it on a kiosk. And I was like, oh, great, a game I get to play because it's here. Right. That was the that was all they had to do was just have a game on a screen for me to go up and want to play it. And it was Diddy Kong Racing, and it just looked so colorful, and it was like friendly, and it was like
it's just like Mario Kart and then some.
And then the hovering thing started, and I don't think we were ready for hovering kart racing games. Like
we weren't ready
until like Sonic and All Stars Racing transformed.
That was just like 15 years later.
I'm just saying, like,
it's good. I mean, I love that game.
I know you love it, and then they kind of put that into the Mario Kart games with Mario Kart 7, but I just wasn't ready for it, so I was just like, this is all right, but I'm gonna go back to Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably give it another try, but I mean, it was only $20, so it's like, it's Diddy Kong. It's like an iconic kind of game, and it's like, it's for the 64 Diddy Kong Racing. I was like, I kind of want to have it, even if I don't really enjoy it.
The one cool thing about this game, I think it's the debut of Conker.
Oh, no, I was gonna say I thought that was him on the cart.
I think
you might be right.
It's the debut of Conker, and the interesting thing about that for this game is that I think Conker is a cutesy character in this, as in like he's not Conker's Bad Fur Day Conker.
Yeah,
so there
Diddy
was
Kong Racing.
So there's a whole shift in this character, and he started right here in Diddy Kong Racing, which I think is pretty neat.
And then I picked up another game there as well. I was actually just looking through some of the PS1 games. I don't know.
Why not? You're in a game exchange.
Just literally like randomly poking
you're
through
scanning
the games.
over.
I think I was trying to find, just looking to see if they had a Die Hard.
You were in the M's, right?
Die Hard Trilogy or whatever. No. Because all the when you're looking at if they're all, just sitting on the shelf, all the PS1 games are all black. The spine. Mm-hmm. And so like the Dreamcast is white. So it just
just saw a white game.
Yeah, so it just like stuck out, and I knew it was a Dreamcast because it was white, and I saw MDK too, and I was like, I know MDK, and I was like, didn't realize there was.
That's when I'd actually like to.
There was a part 2.
For PS1.
So it's MDK 2 for the Dreamcast, a game I didn't even know existed or knew about, or I knew MDK, I didn't know there was a part 2.
I've had that in my collection for like 2 decades.
Oh, MDK 2. Yeah, but how many times have you brought it up?
Never. Whoa, sir, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to choke you up there.
Exactly my point. I've had that in my collection for decades.
Yeah, so I
had to look it up to like I was hoping it was a good game.
This is an awesome game. I remember when we were kids in high school, and the first time I saw this game was, of course, I'm going to say it again, at Pat Musin's house.
Yes.
I saw this game at Pat's, and I was blown away by the graphics.
Well, that's
the lighting effects, and the shooting action. So this game has a lot of that early sort of strafe and shoot gameplay, where you're the circle strafing, where you're kind of circle strafing around a character and shooting them while you're doing that. MDK2 did that, but the environments, it was almost like a neo, like steampunk sort of vibe to it. It was kind of dark, like MDK, a little bit more playful, with the dog and with the old man and all that stuff. But just a great sort of forgotten action game. MDK and MDK2, but this is a special game, and for you to get that for $20, I think complete in box, in good shape. How's the disc?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean that's a no doubter, Bob.
Yeah, because it's always kind of suspect when you have the games, and like a lot of the games back then, like the ones that weren't really good, they always had a quote that said like this one has a quote that says graphics are absolutely stunning,
right?
Which it's like a misleading quote.
Criticom, graphics are stunning.
Yeah, which technically they are, but the game's terrible. So it's like a misleading quote in a way,
right?
But a lot of the games had that, and then I also grabbed some manuals at Retro Games Plus.
Well, the big one, the heavy hitter.
Yeah, the one I really wanted, I saw there when we were at the Congo, was Rocket Knight Adventures. I have the case and the game, but no manual, and that's a hard one to find complete.
It's a really good feeling when you put it in the first time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And someone wrote a quote on the back. It says a season of purgatory, Dominic. Done.
Is that a band name from the late 90s?
I guess so.
That's all right. That's
And then I don't really care about whatever.
any Konami game that's complete in box is of value.
And this in Rocket Knight I had when I had my Sega.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
And when I say of value, I mean of personal value, just in the quality of the game, and to have that complete is a special thing.
And then I just what happens when you're looking through manuals? You find a few other ones you didn't know you needed.
We got a situation.
So I picked up Crash Bandicoot 2 for the PS1, which I have the case and the disc. Just didn't have the...
You got the cabbage version?
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't remember. There was 2 of them there. I didn't know which one. I was like,
There was a black one and a green one?
Yeah, the other one, it was more, but the other one had one of those, like,
the
holographic.
hologram?
Yeah. And I think mine is the greatest. I don't know. Whatever. It didn't. It's
if you bring that home and you see that you got the black version, let Ryan know, and then he'll switch it out.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, so I was just like, grab one of them. I don't have the game or the case yet, but Toe Jam and Earl.
This is a game that was right up your alley. Just this weird sort of like, I don't even know what you call that game. Just a search game for objects and stuff.
It's just kind of one of those like iconic Sega games like Toe Jam and Earl.
I don't understand why this game is so well remembered, because I don't ever remember it being that special.
I think it's just the
attitude.
Presentation.
It's just the attitude.
Yeah.
Of the character. Like, what are these things? One looks like a
they're
hamburger.
like aliens.
One looks like a hamburger. The other one looks like a hot dog.
Well, yeah, one's eating a hot dog. He is. He's eating a hot dog. And the best part is it has a Decap Attack on the back of the manual. The advertisement for Decap Attack.
Yep.
Use your head. Both of them. Pause. And then the other one is a forgotten game, Cabal. I have the manual for, which I believe I have I know I have the box and the game. I was pretty sure I didn't have the manual.
That's a pretty sweet
and
pickup.
It's actually a pretty decent game. I mean, usually you see that Milton Bradley logo in the game.
Marble Madness, right? Isn't it one of the ones
and
they
you're just
published?
expecting it to be some kind of garbage game, but this one's actually supposed to be pretty decent.
Like
I haven't played it yet.
No, that's in the vein of that alligator game, right? That's one of the ones where you're at the bottom of the screen and you're shooting.
Yeah. Because it was an arcade. It was an arcade game.
Like a NAM 1970, whatever the Neo Geo game, NAM 1972, or I think.
Yeah. Well, no, it's
1970 something. I don't know which one it is.
What was that? Man, I can't think of that arcade game.
Well, Cabal was an arcade game.
It's like a first-person perspective kind of thing, isn't it? Where you're just like, it's like taking the cursor and shooting, all over the screen. Cabal.
Yeah. But it's in the vein of like the Nam game.
Nam who?
Yeah, Nam who. What else? What else you got?
Well, that's all I got.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty solid day of pickups for you there, Trent.
Hey, not too bad. Yeah, this was all today too.
It's crazy. Show that poster that you got.
Oh yeah, I got the Baby Baseball Stars poster.
Nice.
Which I believe is the NES. Yeah, because it's got the Nintendo logo. Baseball Stars 2 fold out poster.
I really like the Neo Geo game.
Oh yeah,
the Baseball Stars 2.
Yeah,
solid.
That's the one.
That's on the Wii collection. Isn't it?
That's where I played it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We are good.
Trent, what do you want for Christmas?
Okay.
Baby, all I want
like if you could just have if you could just have like anything.
Damn, anything.
I'm not saying that I got you anything. I'm just saying. Like, is there anything like in your wildest dreams that you would want to get? I know Resident Evil 2 is one of them, right?
Oh, game related. Oh, okay.
What are we talking about? I'm not talking about you getting a bra in your car. There you go. Watch out. Spilling all over yourself.
Atari Jaguar CD.
Atari Jaguar CD. Wow.
I knew it was going to be in something.
You're into the Atari stuff, huh? I heard you mentioning something about the portable or something like that once. We were at the game show and you're like, oh, he had the Lynx. Oh, he had it in the box.
Oh yeah. But I passed up.
What's up with you and Atari?
What, can I not like Atari?
No,
it's ever since I got the Jaguar.
To the average
gamer. I got the fever.
To the average gamer,
well,
Atari
look, hey, how many times did we talk about Atari before I got the Jaguar?
Not many.
When you say not many, 0. The only time we mentioned it was to tell you it's garbage.
The Atari Jaguar?
Jaguar.
Yeah. Remember when we were doing our little bracket? We were talking about how garbage it was.
Yeah.
And then we played it and we found out there are some experiences on that little kitty that could purr.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospective,
Right. You can find the the glint in some of the poop sandwich that is the Atari Jaguar.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what happens. You're not a fan until you are one.
Right.
It
It isn't until it is. 50 no's and a yes means yes.
I had, a year and a half ago, I had no Jaguar games. Now I have 48.
Yeah, you're only a few games away, right?
Yeah, about 5. I need.
That's for the console, like the cartridge console.
Yeah,
the Jaguar.
Yeah. Atari carts, which I have the box and the manual.
And a broken cart.
Yeah, unfortunately. So I guess I own it. It's not playable. So,
I wonder how much you could get for that if you sold it.
Well, since I got it with 5 other games, that didn't really work either.
What you need is somebody who's selling a bare PCB of Atari cards.
Yeah,
that way you
right.
can take yours. Do you have to go underneath the the label? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So when you sent it away, did he have to do that, or was he able to peel the label back?
No. I mean, maybe if I would have heated it up and like intricately peeled it, but whatever.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Throw some putty on there and paint it.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 games I need. Supercross 3D, which is the dirt bike game.
Oh, I thought you had that.
No. Fight for Life.
Oh, Fight for Life.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember looking at pictures of that back in the day, being like, that looks pretty good. Because I had a Jaguar back then. I was like, I mean, if I could find it, I'd like to check it out. It looks like Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
I don't know how it plays.
It's supposed to be terrible.
Criticom? There's Criticom, and then there's Virtua Fighter.
I haven't played Fight for Life, so I don't have a first-hand account.
Where do we go on the Criticom to Virtua Fighter scale?
Yeah. What did I say? I said, Fight for Life, Syndicate.
Oh, Syndicate. They made that for...
Yeah.
I thought that was a 3DO game only.
Yeah, Supercross 3D. Man, it's when you get down to the last 5, I can't remember what the other...
Do you have Trevor McFur complete?
Yeah.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Of course.
I mean, unfortunately. Yeah, so there's only...
the shareware game, Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy.
Yeah, so there's only a few more I need. Wow. The Atari carts is probably going to be a while.
So an Atari Christmas is what you're hoping for. All right. We shall see, Trent. We shall see. What about you, Sal?
What?
What would you like for Christmas?
I want...
You got it all.
No,
for video games.
Yeah. I want more
Spider-Man games?
Yes. More 3DS and DS Spider-Man games.
I don't even know what they are, but I want more of them.
No, 3DS and DS.
Well, I know
Spider-Man
you said you wanted Shattered Dimensions.
Yes.
For PlayStation 3.
Yes.
And you said you wanted Ultimate Spider-Man, right?
Yeah. And
Xbox?
Yeah. And I want Medieval for the PS3.
Medieval came out for the PS4.
No, it came out for the PS3.
PS1.
No, it did come out for the PS3.
Don't argue with me. I know about Medieval.
But it did.
Okay.
Okay.
You tell me when you find a copy of Medieval on PS3, and I'll pay you $1,000.
Okay.
All right.
Shake his hand.
Good deal. Shake my hand.
His hand.
All right, it's official. I'll give you $1,000 if you can find the copy of Medieval on PS3.
But I think someone already bought it because I saw it at Retro Games Plus.
There's only one copy in the world, and somebody bought it. This is like stadium events.
It was at Retro Games Plus. I saw it. It was just like sitting down. I couldn't.
Okay.
I saw it, and there was like nothing on the shelf.
I believe you. We'll find out.
Allegedly.
All right. It's time for our modern retro moment, also known as our "It's Still Real to Me, Damn It" moment. So, if we're going to talk about anything modern retro related, today is December 16th, 17th.
17th.
There's only one thing we can talk about, and you guys probably know about it. You've probably seen all the reviews already for them if you're looking at My Life in Gaming or GameSack or Nintendo Life or any of these. And that's the Analog Pocket, which pretty much the review copies have released, and it's you can pre-order them at Analog. If anybody doesn't know who Analog is, they create a lot of the FPGA based consoles, like the Analog NT, which is the Nintendo FPGA console, the Mega SG, also the NT Mini. And they're also working on a TurboGrafx FPGA-based console as well.
Just what everybody needs. All the top tier.
So not to go too deep into it, but for anybody who doesn't know, these consoles use something called FPGA. It's full something gate array, programmable so gate array.
The closest thing you can get without emulation.
Correct. They basically program the chips to essentially act as the original console. So the CPU, the GPU, the PPU, and all the other U's, the sound, hardware, all of that is sort of reprogrammed within these special designed chips so that you can get whatever console it is that you're trying to produce on there. It's almost like it's not emulation. It's the closest thing to real hardware as you could possibly get without getting to the real hardware, is to put it in a very simple way. And basically the interaction between the cartridge and the system is the same as if you plugged it into a old console, an original console. And this is the one great thing about FPGA, is it's a way to preserve these games, because as consoles age out and if they all start to fail, we all are going to have FPGA to lean back on to be able to play our old cartridges and our old discs. So this is a great advancement in retro video games. And now they're up to the point where they're actually able to create this portable console. And I haven't talked about which console it plays, because it plays multiple consoles.
And the most important one being
the Atari Lynx. Exactly, which is what everybody wants. And so this console at its heart was designed around the original green, pea soup green Game Boy. It has a 1600 by 1440 pixel display.
The most high res.
Which is to basically emulate that look of the original Game Boy. And if you've seen these videos and you've seen this gameplay, this is the way to play old Game Boy games. It plays... Let's list them off. It plays Game Boy,
Gold,
Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear, Atari Lynx, TurboGrafx 16, and Atari Lynx, all with special adapters. And the most important one,
GameCom,
the most unaccessible, is the Neo Geo Pocket Color. That's it.
And
the Gamecom?
The N-Gage.
It really plays the N-Gage? It doesn't play the N-Gage. 5 people bought the N-Gage, and you were one of them.
Yes.
I actually watched a guy in a GameStop once go from playing Pandemonium on his N-Gage to taking a phone call.
Were you blown away?
Yes, I was at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. It was even crazier to see that thing that looked like a Game Boy Advance up to his ear.
Would he have the Model 1, the taco, the sideways one?
The taco, yeah. So he was holding it sideways, and he had all these buttons in this screen, and it just looked like he might have been talking on a football. Like, it was like he might as well have been.
That's what it was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah, the analog, but the it doesn't play it all out of the. I mean, you got to buy all the separate adapters.
So the console itself is $220, which I think is reasonable considering what you're getting out of this console. There's a dock, which
it's still an investment.
It's still an investment, but there's a dock for $100 that allows you to connect it to a TV, and then you can connect any Bluetooth controller. Right now, it looks like the PlayStation 4 controller is the best in terms of connection overall, and it has all the buttons that you would want. So that's then who doesn't have access to a PlayStation 4 controller? I mean, it's pretty ubiquitous at this point. So
honestly, if I'm playing Game Boy, like original Game Boy games, I'd probably want to use like an NES controller.
Yeah, oh yeah,
two buttons.
Yeah,
it just makes me it feel more like I'm playing like a Game Boy if I'm using like a Bluetooth NES
so
controller.
you probably could use like a Retrobit controller or an 8-bit DOE controller or something like that to play on them. The dock is $100. Each adapter for the other consoles is $30, which is not bad. You can pick and choose which ones you want. I love the idea of playing original Game Boy games with that palette.
Yeah, you really gotta look. You gotta find the video because when you see like how crisp and clear the screen is,
incredible.
Especially because it has that color, that green,
pea soup green color.
Yeah.
But it
looks so good.
In some way, it looks awesome. Like I don't know how to describe or why it looks great.
Obviously you can change the colors, but they have one of the option is the.
I think it looks great because it's how those games were originally designed to be played.
Yeah, and then did you see one
and
of them?
And nothing has emulated that since.
Yeah, did you see one of them was the Indiglo blue, like the?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
The Game Boy Pocket, maybe the Game Boy Pocket Light or whatever, the one that came out in Japan.
The Game Boy Light.
Yeah,
it only came out in Japan.
That's like one of the filters you can use. It's like that blue Indiglo, that Indiglo. Is that what it's called?
Indiglo,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's almost like a teal light.
Yeah,
like a neon teal. So, for all of you who like to portable game, or if you like to console game, and maybe you have some old Game Boy games or Game Gear games, or you want to get into that, here is a great way for you to either have it portably or to consoleize that system and play it on your TV with a modern controller. But that experience is going to be a lot. It's going to be so nostalgic for you, especially if you grew up with the original Game Boy and Game Gear. I watched Joe from GameSack playing Shinobi, and it looks fantastic. I mean,
I didn't see any Game Gear, the footage of the Game Gear playing.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you have a Game Gear, it's almost like impossible to play with the screen. It's like the screen's like basically like whitewashed.
Right.
The original.
Unless
screen.
you get your screen modded. And that's another investment. So to be able to get this console and have access to all these different systems in one place, play it on a TV with the dock. There's just so many options on what to do, and it makes it so accessible to play all these old games. It makes it so that you don't need a Neo Geo Pocket. Like there was a guy at the Congo the other day that wanted, I don't know, $100 and something just for the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Oh, he had one?
Yeah, it was, I think, Dennis's friend who was there.
It's just kind of cool to own, I guess,
There's a lot of cool things to own, but in terms of functionality to be able to play a lot of these old games, it's difficult. Yeah. And so
because it didn't have a backlit screen either, right? The Pocket Color? No, it didn't.
I don't know if it does or not. Yeah. So again, then you got to get into modding if you want to do that. It's just like, it just seems like a really great solution for this, where you don't have to disrupt your other portable consoles. And honestly, you don't ever have to use those again if you don't want to, because this is an all-in-one solution, and it functions so well because of that high-resolution screen. You can save it, you can put it to sleep, so you can actually like let it, almost like a modern portable.
Yeah. So
there's just there's resizing options if you really want to go crazy with the screen, but. I just think this is such a cool idea, and it sounds like they've gotten to the point where now they can program a bunch of different consoles through this FPGA core. There is a SD card slot, so now, there's talk about, breaking it so that you can actually add games via the SD card slot at some point. Not really my bag. I don't really like to get into that kind of stuff.
But you can use like the EverDrive carts on it too.
You could. I personally, I think that goes back to the Raspberry Pi that we were talking about, where you've got all these options.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't. I mean,
yeah. But if that's your bag, that's that's an option that you have. So I don't care who you are. If you're into gaming, this is going to appeal, I think, to most retro gamers.
It's something that I want, but I don't know when I'll ever get it. It's like I do want it. It looks awesome. I just don't know when I would drop over $200 on it.
I wouldn't sweat it, but I would lean more into the Evercade right now. Like that's where I would lean into a little bit more, because it's not that you don't have access to play these games. You have access if you want to play them on your Game Boy or something else, but the Evercade has experiences that you might have never seen before. So personally, for me, I like the idea of the Evercade because it's just new experience of old arcade games and things like that.
Yeah.
That's me, but I want everything. So,
yeah.
So check that out. Analog, we appreciate you guys and everything that you're doing because you're keeping retro gaming alive. And so we really appreciate that. So give them a look, guys. And with that, we will stop here for a quick break, and then we'll be back with our discussion of Die Hard Arcade. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Thanks for listening to that commercial break. And now it's time to focus on, what do we love here on this show, Trent? We like hardcore beat 'em ups, right?
Girls. Good food.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going there. I just heard girls. It's like, yes, that's one. Where are we going with this? So, the game in question, the game of focus, is Die Hard Arcade. And it's aptly named because it was an arcade game.
That it was.
And it was an arcade game that had a conversion to a home console.
Correct.
So it's aptly named Die Hard Arcade, especially when it came home. You'd think that in the arcade it would have just been called Die Hard.
No, it was still Die Hard Arcade.
But it was still Die Hard Arcade, which, I guess it makes sense in some respect. Where do we start with Die Hard? I think the first place you have to start is by talking about the lineage of beat 'em up games in general. Going back to Double Dragon, Final Fight, Streets of Rage. We think about the time that this game released, right? Die Hard Arcade is a beat 'em up. More specifically, it's a 3D beat 'em up, which is a rare occurrence in the world of video games. There are not many.
A few tried.
There are not many 3D beat 'em ups, and this game came out in 1996. If you remember back to our Final Fight episode, where we were talking about how the way Final Fight 3 was reviewed versus Streets of Rage 3, and how there was genre fatigue at that point with beat 'em ups. And this is 1994, just about, I would think. Mm-hmm. Was that a 94 or 95 game, Final Fight 3?
Oh, geez. Maybe.
This is a late 16-bit era that we're talking about, whether it's 94 or 95. So what does Sega do? They double down, and they make another beat 'em up. This time, it's a 3D beat 'em up. So they created a game called Dynamite Deca, and that essentially translates to Dynamite Detective in Japan. And they had drawn so much inspiration from the Die Hard games. It is in a multi-storied building in a downtown area, and it sports a shirt-cladded white man who looks like a police officer.
Get out of here.
They basically were going for Die Hard, and I don't know if they got the license after or before, but it was a perfect match for the movie Die Hard and the setting of the movie Die Hard.
Just a few years too late.
And they actually got the license for Die Hard, so when it came over to the United States in the arcades, they had the full license for the Die Hard movies, which I think is perfect. I don't know how else you can say it, but to get that license and put it in the game made so much sense. We probably would still be calling this a Die Hard game today, although I don't know if it would have gotten as much recognition.
I mean, that's what drew me to it,
right?
When you saw it at the arcade.
Exactly.
You saw that big old Die Hard logo on it.
Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, this is going to be some sort of action game. I gotta kind of try this out, right? So the game was created for an arcade system called the STV, which was basically an arcade version of the Sega Saturn. Did you know this?
No, I did not.
And so there were a lot of different STV games that ended up coming home, and Die Hard Arcade was one of them. Another one was Steep Slope Sliders.
Oh, yep. It came on the Dreamcast, right? Or was that the Saturn?
That was Rippin' Riders.
Oh, Rippin' Riders.
Yeah.
Oh, Steep Slope Sliders
was
Saturn.
Saturn,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So because the arcade was so close to the Saturn console, we got a lot of nearly perfect or perfect ports from the arcade to the Saturn console. And Die Hard Arcade was one of them. And so the Saturn release came out in 1997, shortly thereafter. It does have a sequel called Dynamite Cop, which came out on the Dreamcast.
Have we played that?
We've played Dynamite Cop. Yeah. So it's basically Dynamite Deca 2, but at this time they had dropped the Die Hard Arcade license, and they just brought it out in the States as Dynamite Cop.
Don't want to pay for that license.
At that point, they probably were like, might as well. It stars the same characters. So I think the character from Dynamite Deca's name is Bruno, the main guy, and he's in Bruno, and he's in Dynamite Cop. So they just basically took the Japanese storyline and translated that as, the new storyline for Dynamite Cop in the Dreamcast version. So the game was created by Sega AM1, which, if you don't know, Sega AM1 was a development studio that created Sega Bass Fishing, Alien Syndrome, House of the Dead. So that's their pedigree. And it was a collaboration between them and the Sega Technical Institute. Sega Technical Institute was responsible for Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Comic Zone, The Ooze.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. It's really bad. The main guy on the team that was in developing this game was Makoto Uchida. And this is the guy responsible for it. So think about Die Hard Arcade. So Die Hard Arcade is a 3D beat-em-up game. He's responsible for two of my favorite games of all time, Altered Beast and Golden Axe.
Oh, makes sense. He would work on this one.
Right. And you think about that, what kind of typified that early Genesis, and I would say the Genesis at large, Altered Beast and Golden Axe are a big part of what the Genesis was. Mm-hmm. He also developed Manx TT Superbike, if you know that one.
Saturn, yeah.
Yep, it was an arcade and a Saturn game. And, of course, he did Dynamite Cop. So he doesn't have a long pedigree of releases, but the ones he did produce were pretty much bangers. Really, really, really good games.
Quality
over quantity. So in the Die Hard Arcade version, you have John McClane and Chris Thompson, who in Japan are Bruno Dellinger and Cindy Holiday. And so the whole storyline is about them saving the president's daughter.
I have the president's daughter.
There's a guy who looks like an elderly Hulk Hogan who is a terrorist who's trying to kidnap the president's daughter for ransom, or he's going to blow up the building or something. So there's a bunch of wacky characters that you have to battle, including a guy named Hog, a Mexican wrestler named Jocko. There's twin sumo wrestlers that you have to have to fight. There's a guy who's an army general. His name's Mr. Tubbs. There's a bunch of there's these spider enemies in the game.
Robots.
Yeah, spider bots. So there's a bunch of wacky enemies. The thing that sort of typifies this game is it was sort of the first of its kind to go 3D with the beat 'em up genre. I can't think of another game that came out before that was a 3D beat 'em up game.
Oh, okay.
Can you?
So,
there's only one game that you can compare it to, and that game that we were thinking about, I don't believe came out before this, at least the arcade version.
Oh, well, I was thinking Fighting Force.
Yes, and the Fighting Force came out in, I believe, 1997 or 1998.
So after this.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't think, that's the thing, is it was groundbreaking in that it was really kind of the first of its kind to break the barrier and go from 2D to 3D, because that was such a difficult proposition for them to do. Fighting Force originally was brought to Sega by Core Design, if we remember our conversation about this, and how they said they wanted to make it a Streets of Rage 4.
Right.
And Sega saw the engine and said, there's no way that this is coming out. It runs way too slow. It's clunky. We're not messing with it. You know what I mean? And so, who knows? This might have been kind of the catalyst to them kind of saying, you know what, we want to make our own 3D beat 'em up.
This is gonna be like the test before we
kind of
get to
like
the
they saw
Streets
what
of
Core
Rage.
was working on, and who knows, maybe that was them saying, "Oh, listen, we kind of see what they're doing here. We're gonna make it ourselves." And I think I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here, but since we're talking about it, if we're gonna compare Die Hard Arcade, you know, being a 3D beat 'em up versus Fighting Force, I think Die Hard Arcade's the better game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When it comes to beat 'em up games, what's really, really important is control and contact. You know, and when I say contact, I mean the feeling of being able to press a button and have the action on screen happen and have it feel real and have it feel like effective.
Yeah,
that it's
that
on,
thud.
that it's on point.
Thwack.
Exactly, but that it's also the contact that's being made is happening as you're doing it, and when the character's hand reaches the enemy, that they're smacking them, and that response is very tight. The one thing I would say that Die Hard Arcade has over a game like Fighting Force is it's just tight. It's just everything about that game. Everything about that game which works really, really, really tightly. And, you know, there's no special moves, but the thing about Die Hard Arcade is basically you're in mini boxes. There's no walking down the street. That's the one thing about Die Hard Arcade is you like
clear an area and then it just
you're clearing an area
you.
And then you have a QuickTime event going from one area to the next where you're not really traveling through an area, but there's a little QuickTime movie that's playing in between. But you get that illusion, that feeling that you're traveling through a world and going from this room to that room.
Yeah, because I mean it makes sense because you're like working your way up the building,
right?
So you know you wouldn't be like just going straight forward through room after room after room, you know?
Right. And it's very simple. It follows that 2D beat 'em up mechanic of there's a punch button, and then there's a kick button,
grab,
and a jump button, right? And so the controls are very simple, but they're snappy and they're tight, and that's what makes this game work. The other thing that we have to talk about when it comes to Die Hard Arcade is destructible environments. So even though there's no special moves, there are so many things in the environment that can be used to, you know, there's guns, there's
pick up the barrels,
there's spray cans, and you have to find a lighter so that you can actually burn enemies in the face. You can destroy enemies like the robots and then use their appendages to attack them. You can destroy parts. You can destroy chairs or grandfather clocks, and then once the actual item falls, you can pick it up and use it as a weapon against the enemies. There's missile launchers that you can use.
Yeah, those huge.
There's rocket launchers that you can use.
Rocket launcher.
And one of the things, the over the top hilarity of it is you can shoot an enemy at point blank range, and you have there's no impact on you. You don't get hurt at all.
Yeah.
But everybody else goes flying. So it's insane. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does the action very well.
Yeah, it's like they'll be like when you're transitioning into like one level, there's like two of the enemies. They like right when you come out of the elevator, the one goes like, "Ooh," and he like falls into the dumpster.
Yeah.
He gets like scared.
Or you go into the bathroom and you're gonna attack the guys, and there's a guy literally shaking off his penis while he's like.
And there's another guy just in his underwear. That's the only thing he has.
Yeah, you can actually use like large tuna fish to attack people.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
When you're in the freezer, and you can actually slap characters with that. I mean, you name it in terms of an item to throw. There's like tomatoes, I think you might be even able to throw. You can smash the vending machine, and you get like, I don't know if it's bottles of like soda or something like that you can throw. So there's just,
I feel like they did that in Fighting Force too.
There's just an over the top hilarity. Like, I think at this point Sega was like, we don't want to take ourselves too seriously with this. We just want to create. The thing about it is they wanted to just create a fun game.
Well, yeah, I mean it's an arcade game.
It was an easy romp. It was a quarter muncher. It's something that, you know, you could have a lot of fun with and put as many quarters as you wanted, and you can continue that progression. But it was just overall just a really fun. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really colorful. The characters too, when they're getting damaged, you start to see part of it. It's like strip poker, but with damage. It's like the more damage they take, the more of their clothes come off. So they might start with the jacket and jeans, and then by the end of it, they've got on an A shirt and underwear because they're down to their last life. So you see this progression of them losing their clothes as they go through. Any other thoughts on?
Do you think they used maybe for like the development of the game, they may have used like the Virtua Fighter like engine for it?
It almost feels like Virtua Fighter, especially like when you're like punching a character 3 times, you see them go like duh, 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 duh.
Yeah, a lot of the movements,
almost like in Virtua.
Because like wait, can you even? I'm trying to remember.
You can arrest people. Jump. You can arrest enemies in this when they're on the ground.
Because it's kind of got that it's kind of got that like floaty like Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, it's a little bit more grounded. You feel a little bit more weight to your jumps, but it's definitely not as floaty as it is. But when in terms of the move set, like all they would need is a block button, and it would be Virtua Fighter. It just feels like that. So. Yeah, it's a good point. It's almost like it kind of reminds me of like the arcade version of like King of Monsters 2, where it's like it's got a fighting game engine, but yet it works in a beat 'em up. The QuickTime events are hilarious.
Yeah, because you either got to like punch or kick.
So you'll be this music starts with it's got like a doot doot doot. It's almost like a what do you call like a cowbell.
Yeah,
and there's a little sort of like a hi-hat, kind of cymbal playing, and then there'll be an icon on the screen that says go right or punch or kick, and you have a split second to be able to hit that button. And when you connect with that enemy, there's a sound effect that is so satisfying.
Especially the punch. It's just like this running punch. It's like,
and you can't help but laugh when you see like the character just get bamboo. Their neck goes straight back, and
they do like a backflip.
And it's almost in slow motion as it happens.
Yeah.
And maybe even more funny is when you miss, where you're supposed to punch, but you kick right over them.
You
it's
just
like,
jump right over them.
And then what happened? The consequence to losing the QuickTime event is you have to go through another room and defeat the characters in that room before you move on to the next one. So if you miss, that causes you to potentially lose more life because now you have to focus on a new enemy instead of satisfying that that QuickTime event. So
I mean, for like an arcade game, it's
got cutscenes.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say for like an arcade game, it's fairly long,
right?
Right. It's like an hour.
Probably takes about an hour to get through.
Which for an arcade game, it's pretty long.
Yeah.
Usually it was like a half hour, maybe 20 minutes.
Maybe that's why they thought it would be good to bring home.
Yeah.
So. I
mean, it's it's one of those. It's a solid playthrough where you can play through it, and then like a couple of weeks later, you're like, yeah, let's play it again.
It's if you like beat 'em ups, and you're looking for what's that. Maybe that next level of beat 'em up that maybe you haven't seen yet, because there's a ton of side-scrolling beat 'em ups. There are even fewer side-scrolling beat 'em ups that are really, really do it well. But this is something that wasn't really tried. You can really only think of 2 games, and that's Fighting Force, which, don't get me wrong, I love Fighting Force. I like that game, and that is more of you're traversing through a whole level like a real regular
like a 3D world,
right. I like Fighting Force. I played that game back in the day all the time.
PS1 or 64?
PS1.
I have it on the 64. I remember playing it back in the day. And it was definitely, I think it ran slower on the 64 than it did on the PS1.
Maybe a little bit. It was a little blurry.
But I enjoyed it back then.
Yeah. A worse game is Fighting Force 2 on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, they just made it like a one-player game, right?
Yeah, it was more of like a
Tomb Raider kind of thing, right?
You were like a spy, but you were like, it was more action oriented, but it wasn't a beat 'em up though. It was more of an action game like Headhunter or something like that. So
they seem to never, I don't know what I mean, I haven't played every 3D beat 'em up, but it seemed like they just
there's not that many of them though.
No one could really figure it out, I guess.
I think if there's any game that got close enough, it was Die Hard Arcade. I think that was the game where.
Oh no, I'm saying like after that, since then.
Oh yeah. Because then there were games like the Hunter games. Remember, like the Hunted or the Hunter.
Hunter Reckoning.
Hunter Reckoning.
That's a beat 'em up style.
Kind of, yeah, but it's just doesn't. So much of what beat 'em ups are is that tactile feel, and if you don't get that down, it's easy to lose interest in the game.
Yeah, because I know they, a bunch of those like Turtles games.
Zombies Revenge on Dreamcast.
Oh, on Dreamcast.
Yeah, that would be sort of like a mixture between Die Hard Arcade or Streets of Rage and House of the Dead,
right?
Where you're actually it kind of has that Die Hard Arcade engine, to be quite honest with you. So I actually I do enjoy Zombies Revenge. That's another one, but there's very, very few games, even in that era that did it really, really well. And I mean, there's a few games in general, but really even fewer games that did it well. So, Die Hard Arcade is one of those that is a truly special game, if nothing else, that it was one, very few of its kind, and it just did it really well. I'd rather go back to Die Hard Arcade than necessarily Fighting Force. Although that is one game I'd like to get.
Yeah.
But I think when you compare the two, Die Hard Arcade comes out more favorably. The one last thing I wanted to mention is that the continue mechanic is actually pretty neat in this game, because in order to be awarded more continues, you have to play a game called Deep Scan before you start the game, which is a 1980 Sega arcade game involving a battleship that has to drop bombs on submarines, and the more submarines that you destroy during your playthrough awards you more continues in the game. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Trenton, but there's no way to beat this game really if you're if you're just starting from.
I remember from
the opening.
We played it like a few months ago, and you spent like 10 minutes playing Deep Scan to get like 50
20 it was like 18 or 20 continues, and we still didn't beat it.
Yeah. That's right.
We got like to the second to last level, or the last level.
I was like, do we really need this many? And you're like, you just kept going, just kept playing and
I'm
playing.
like, yes, we need this many. You probably need, honestly, like 30 continues to be able to get through.
Yeah, because there's just so much happening on the screen, especially like the boss.
Sometimes it's hard.
Too.
That's the one thing about this game, is when you're, even though it's a 3D game, when you're in these areas, the characters are so large that sometimes it's hard to get out of the way of things.
Yeah.
And it's easy to kind of get in the way of.
Because, like you said,
you take a lot of damage too when you get.
Yeah, because you're in a box. You can't. You're basically
in a box.
Yeah.
And it's
a mini arena almost in a way.
The characters actually, if there's one sort of negative that I'd have to put on this, is that the characters move more slowly than characters in a two-dimensional beat-em-up game like Streets of Rage or Final Fight.
Yeah.
So because they move slower, it's kind of harder to move around that stage a little bit, and it's easy to get in the way of either gunfire or just to get hit in an attacking chain where you're just getting beat up.
Yeah, especially when you got you're throwing grenades or whatever, things are blowing up.
And that's the other thing, when you go to pick up an item, it doesn't just pick it up and you got it. You actually, the character actually reaches down to grab it, and it leaves them open to damage while they're in that animation. So you kind of run the risk when you grab an item. Is this going to, is it worth grabbing this item, or am I going to, get hit? And then sometimes you get in trouble because you see health items where you want to get your health back.
Yeah.
But by trying to go for those health items, you might actually surrender damage, because if you don't get the health items and the stage ends, you can basically miss out on that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's, not all of our discussions on these games necessarily have to be too long. I think Dynamite Cop is a pretty straightforward game, but we really wanted to highlight on, that for you guys. It is sort of a Christmas game, so we wanted to highlight that for you. Maybe at some point we can talk about Hard Trilogy, which I consider sort of like a sister game to this, which came out around the same time, did a whole different style, but
it's kind of weird, right? They just it was random, because Die Hard hadn't been around for a few years,
6-7 years at that point.
Yeah, they just kind of all right, we're gonna do this and we're gonna throw that.
They weren't ready to make the Die Hard games until the 3D era started.
I guess so.
And in terms of how I originally played this game was
it the same as me?
I don't know, maybe.
All right, 1, 2, 3, tons of fun.
No. It wasn't tons of fun. So the way that I played this game was.
Oh well, I played the arcade version.
Right. I never played the arcade version.
Oh, okay.
So I would, we were big Blockbuster. We were a big Blockbuster family. So we would end up going to the Willimantic Blockbuster.
Everybody was.
And, it was a whole adventure going to Blockbuster because there was, what movie did you want to rent, whether it was a new movie or a classic movie. There were so many options. Those aisles just had, dreams and wonders and hopes just built all into them. And, it was that Friday night sort of, it's like, soda and pizza and popcorn and, and a great movie, and so you would go to Blockbuster and you'd pick out that. So I remember being in a Blockbuster one night, and this is the time when I had just started working for my father because, he had my father owns a business, and it's a food-based business, and so I was able to start working for him, make a few dollars. And this is probably in around beginning of 1998, probably January of 1998. And at this time, Blockbuster, as they had games that they rented, after I would say, probably 6 months, when a game had sort of fallen out of popularity or just been
it's gone through the cycles
kind of overthrown by new releases, some of the games that wouldn't rent as much, they would put up for sale.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I got like Mario Tennis, right? It's the way I got originally the Immortal World Series Baseball 98. That was the way I first played that game. And 1998 was a big year for not Sega. So because of that,
everything but Sega.
Tons of their Sega Saturn games they put up just for sale.
Oh, yeah, because no one had one.
And they would put them up for dirt cheap. So,
that's where that's where I bought my Sega Saturn.
Oh, really?
From Blockbuster.
I didn't even know you owned one.
Yeah.
Really?
I had it. Man, I wish I would have had it though, because it was the rental.
Oh, with the rental case.
Yeah, because that's how
the rental case alone probably sells for about $200 now.
Yeah, that's how they sold it in the rental case.
Yeah. So I go there this one January day, and of course '98 was the black hole of Saturn gaming because
it was all downhill.
There were I think 5 releases that whole year, maybe 4 releases that whole year. So
damn, really? It was that bad, huh?
Yeah, it was like House of the Dead, Shining Force 3, Magic Knight Ray Earth, Panzer Dragoon Saga, and maybe House of the Dead.
Wait, so you're saying the Saturn only had 5 games, or Sega made 5 games?
Well, I mean, that was the only console that they supported in 1998. I mean, the end of 1998, they had the Dreamcast in Japan.
No. I'm saying so there was only 5 games that came out on the Saturn the whole year.
I think so.
Wow, that's rough.
Maybe NHL All-Star Hockey 98, but I think even that might have. I'd have to look back, but it was under 10. It was under 10 games.
That's wild.
Well, Bernie Stolar comes out at E3 and says the Saturn's not our future, so everybody jumps ship. Sega jumps ship because he's running the ship, right? He basically closes everything down. So Sega essentially didn't have a console for 2 years.
Well, I guess, I mean,
in
then they were already working on the Dreamcast because the Dreamcast came out the next year.
Right. And Sega screwed everything up because they came out with the Dreamcast early in Japan where the Saturn was actually doing well. But yet they waited an extra year in the territory where Sega wasn't doing as well. Like if they were smart, they would have come out with the Dreamcast. They would have flipped it. They would have had Dreamcast come out here first in 98 and then come out in Japan in 1999 when, Saturn still had a nice run over there. So I think I found Die Hard Arcade for something ridiculous like $17.99 or $15.99.
But did it even? I mean, if it was from Blockbuster, did it even come with like the actual case, or was it just a disc?
I believe that's my copy. I mean, I believe this is the copy that I got.
Oh, really? So that's weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, I might have switched the case out. The case might have been beat.
Maybe they rented them in those.
I don't know. Like, it's funny because I have the World Series Baseball that has the Blockbuster sticker on it.
Yeah.
So I have no idea, but yeah, and this is not the original foam, but yeah, I got this game there, and like I said, it was probably $15 or $17.99. It was cheap, and these were experiences that I had kind of heard about but never seen, and I was like, wait a minute, this looks like a 3D Streets of Rage. I want to play this, and for $17-$18,
yeah, when it's like $5 to rent a game.
Yeah, anyway. like Mario Tennis, I got for like $15. It was just basically like if I could rent this and spend money, or I could just buy it for this much and have it forever. So, yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay.
So, and then I think you played it at Tons of Fun.
Yeah, at our local mall, they had the Die Hard arcade. I remember going there multiple times to play that game. Man, we would always play Die Hard arcade.
It's just a romp, man.
Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother. And then you ended up playing it at my house. After that, right?
Yeah, that was the only other. I mean,
like in high school or something.
You're the only person I know that has it.
Yeah. So, you look at the cover and you see this guy. Like, does it not just look like? That's pretty much Bruce Willis. I mean, they just changed the face a little bit.
It made him a little more.
Yeah.
More scruffy.
Yep. So, but it's a special game. Even down to like the packaging and it almost has that Virtua Fighter sort of like.
Oh yeah,
like look to the font and
the
to
Sega Saturn
and to the coloring. Yeah, so if you guys get a chance to, if you can fire this up on an emulator, I would encourage you guys to check it out. There's also there's the Saturn version, but there's also a PlayStation 2 version that came out in Japan, and for that one they actually revamped the graphics. It's a completely overhauled PS2 graphics game.
Really?
Yeah. And the cool thing about it is that because this was made by AM1 and Makoto Uchida, it's a game that actually has you can do alternate characters, so you can play as Axe Battler and Tyrus Flare from Golden Axe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can actually.
Oh, yeah, I think you did mention something about that.
Yeah, so you can play as them, and then you can even fight in one of the levels. You can fight Axe Battler, so it has like a whole like Golden Axe thing going on with the PS2 version, which I'm not sure if you can mod a PS2 to play Japanese games or not, but
that's not my thing.
No, I know.
Doing the whole Japanese games, that.
I get it, but I kind of want to just take a look at a video of like what that looks like, just the Golden Axe, because I love Golden Axe. I mean, that's
did you?
That's in the stable. That's when you play like regularly.
I don't know if you looked it up, but did you see what any of the ratings for this one was?
Oh, I did not. We'll have to report on the next one. I did see that it got in the 7s.
Yeah.
And that makes sense for the time period that this came out. 1997 is pretty long in the tooth when it comes to beat 'em ups. Well, anyway, so considering the time it came out and the fact that it got in the 7s, not even just 7, but like 7+.
That's a fair. I mean, it's not a 9,
Well, here's the thing. I think this game is so special that I think of it more as a 7, but that's me.
I would say it's a 7.
We'll play more 7s, right? I mean, that's what we say.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a special 7. This is like a 7+ because it's one of a very few select games in its genre, and it does it well. And so for that, I think you have to give it like a 7. Call it 7.5. I don't know. Maybe I would give it a 7.5. I don't know if it's quite an 8, but I would give it like a 7.5.
Find that girl.
Yeah. Oh, the cutscenes in this game are just amazing. They're so over the top that this game is as fun as it is funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a great time. So if you guys get a chance to check this out, even I hate to say it because I want you guys to play it, but even if you have to watch a playthrough, check this game out. It's awesome. So yeah, I think that's our Christmas sign off, Trent. What do you think?
I'm feeling jolly about it.
I miss Ryan. Ryan, where are you?
It's only been an episode.
Ryan, we need you back.
Alone from night to night, you'll find me.
Well, with that, we hope you guys have a very, very Merry Christmas. We hope you get all that you're looking for. If there's one thing that we want you to do over this Christmas holiday is play more games, play more retro games, enjoy some stuff. Share some of this retro goodness with people who don't know about it if you can. Have a very blessed holiday. Remember that everything good comes from above. Be safe, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it turbo. Enjoy.